Sweet, sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so back. My name is Zach Stoffer. This is the It's So Over podcast. And today I have
Carson Shipman.
Carson, dude.
The
This is, sorry.
no, like this is a long time coming.
Oh, it 100%
We've
is.
talked about this since you started, so
Yeah, I think Carson and what have we known each other for like a few years now?
yeah, through my work, and yeah, it's been. I feel like I've like known you, but like I've never really got to know you.
Yeah.
But you've always been like such a cool guy to me, so it's like always.
I appreciate that. No, Carson
Yeah,
over here with all the aura, works at Thrift Hood for
that's
those of you who don't know. That's like,
aura is kind of a heavy word there.
it is, but I think it's deserving here. I feel like to work at Thrift Hood, you got to be somebody, you
You
know?
gotta you. It's definitely something that like is not for the weak, and I mean that you know for everyone that knows me. It's it's a lot of work, and I don't think people realize that.
Really?
Yeah, like there's so much that goes into what we do as a brand
Hmm.
that like is just I mean, the amount of hours that I've spent like after hours
Hmm.
like preparing for any sort of event or even opening the Salt Lake store. Like,
I bet that
dude,
was huge.
I spent so many hours just doing the floor in the Salt Lake store. Like I honestly like I would say probably close to 60 hours just doing the floor.
Wow.
So just that just kind of like is a little like snippet, I guess.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, I'm like it's a lot of work. All the Black Friday stuff.
Oh, I can imagine that's a nightmare. I've worked Black Friday for retail. I can't imagine for a place like that.
Right. Yeah, dude, it is what it is. But it's fun. I mean, I've loved it. I worked there for be 3 years um in 3 days.
Oh, wow. Dang.
Yeah.
3-year anniversary, dude. That's
Yeah.
sick.
No, that I didn't even realize that. Yeah, April 3rd.
Wow. I think I met you, was it 2023?
Yeah, so
Because
it probably was around that because let's see, I was probably like 6 months in. Yeah.
roughly,
Which is
yep.
crazy because like I don't know, I feel like it wasn't like that long ago. But
Dude.
it's like 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's whatever. I love it though. So shout out Thrift Hood.
Yep.
I will always plug and will always be an advocate for the vintage clothing space. So
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. I think like so much of my sports gear, I think probably this as well. Like I've gotten so much stuff from Thrift Hood.
mhm,
So whenever you guys have a sale and it's something Green Bay Packers
of course.
related,
Yeah, man.
I'm there and I'm probably buying it.
Yeah, for sure. I need to be better about sending you because I feel like we have like literally 15 pieces
Oh,
of
dude.
Green Bay Packers and that's
Financially, I can't. You can't send me
okay,
those
that's
right now.
okay, maybe not, maybe another time then.
In the future, please. But right now, I just know I'm gonna buy things I shouldn't.
Well, I'll just cut you a deal and it's whatever.
I'm.
Or you can trade some stuff that you don't wear as much.
Ooh,
I don't
now
know.
that's a
That's always
negotiation I'm willing to have.
that's always a an option just because it is vintage or used. And so
Huh.
that's always nice. Cuz my closet, here's the thing. It's like rotating.
Hmm.
Like I mean, I'm not going to lie right now. I have way too much stuff. But the nice thing is everything that I have is used.
Okay,
So like, I can just bring it back and
that's
get
sick
or
that you can
credit for
trade
it.
out.
Right. So and then yeah, it's like it's just a revolving thing,
Oh, dude.
which is nice because also I'm not a huge fan of fast fashion. I think it's one horrible for the earth. And I don't want to like get into that, but like dude, it is like if you think about it, the amount of like junk that just gets thrown
Uh huh.
away. I'm like, dude, oh, it just makes me like sad, like because I don't know, we already had so many clothes, which is like silly to think about, but it's like
Yeah.
it's true. If you think about like all the years of clothing that we've had in this lifetime,
Yeah. No, that's true. That's
so
very true.
I'm recycle, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. It's part of the job, I guess.
Yeah.
Saving the earth,
Absolutely.
right?
I think that's pretty important, right?
Of course, that
Making.
and making sure everyone's happy.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
this has been kind of a little introduction to Carson, kind of who he is, what he does. But for this podcast, for those of you who have maybe never watched before, I kind of have people on, and as Carson kind of said, like we've never like really gotten to know each other, so it's really fun because I have random questions that I'm going to be asking Carson. He'll be answering, and we'll get to know a little more about Carson as who he is and less of what he does. I
For
think
sure.
that's
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah, I think we all have stories. I think we all have life experience and things that shape us. I think that ultimately, like, I have a lot of crazy Lauren experiences, but I'm not, the only person. So I love to have people on. I love to ask them questions. I love to give them the opportunity to maybe share something that helps someone else. That's the main goal of this podcast.
I've always wanted to do that because, like, the thing is, I have my own podcast, and it's not like I'm, you know, telling my whole life story, or I've never really done that. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like I do have some experiences that could be, you know, beneficial for. Honestly, I would say like the younger kids who do go through, you know, mental health problems, or I mean, me personally, growing up, like, dude, I struggled with injuries in sports. Like, it just sucked,
Yeah.
like, it was just like, that was just my life. But yeah, I would love to, elaborate more on that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think the questions will kind of give you that
Great.
opportunity.
Perfect.
This is the awesome thing too about this is I never have a theme in mind when I like write these questions. I'll just kind of think of like the person. And I'll be like, okay, like, what would best give them the opportunity to kind of share things that are valuable to them. And that's
For
literally
sure.
little subtle foreshadowing. That's one of the questions that
I
we'll
love
get
that.
to. But with question number one, what makes you tick?
What makes me tick?
Like what gets you motivated each day to get up, keep going?
This is a heavy question, and it honestly kind of gave me a little bit of chills. So like, that's kind of funny. But honestly, my mom, like, and that I know could be like kind of, oh, my mom, but like seriously, like my mom, she's like everything to me. Like, I love that woman to death, and she works so hard, and I do my best to help take care of her. And she's a single mom, and she lives on her own with two dogs, and it's like, bro, like, she just works really hard.
Mhm.
And seeing that is like something that, like, I want to be able to, like, give that also. Like, she is like a consistent, like the most consistent thing in my life, and I will like forever just like cherish that. So I would definitely say my mom, and also like my brothers, and my nephew and my sister-in-law. Like, I don't know, like, those, I know that's like such a easy answer, but like seriously, like, that's what gets me going, like, in the morning. And being able to wake up and see my little nephew is like the best thing ever. 'Cause like, I live with him, and I live with my sister-in-law, my two brothers, and like, dude, just watching that kid grow is just like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's not even my kid, but like, dude, it is like the best thing ever. I don't know. It's so weird, and people say like, oh yeah, like when you have your own kids, it's like the greatest thing ever. But like, even just having like a little nephew is just awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude, that's awesome. No, that's so wholesome too. I
yeah,
feel like family's super important.
it is. It's my biggest thing in my life for sure. So
I love that. I think that's one of like the best kind of like I guess like cornerstones of foundational things to have.
for sure.
Like I think when you're rooted in like, family and the desire for it and also the appreciation for it, I feel like it just kind of gives you a solid base.
Hmm.
It's kind of like you may have whatever goes on in your life, but you always have like that consistent pillar to come home to.
For sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. Like, that is my rock. So
Yep,
yeah.
there you go. That's the
Yeah.
wording I was looking for.
Yeah. Like, that's my cement. Foundation.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second question is kind of similar to this one,
Okay.
but I guess it can be interpreted any way you want it to be. What is something that is incredibly important to you that you would want others to know?
Okay. Honestly, along with family, because that's obviously like what I said. That's like my biggest thing. But I would say mental health. And again, that's like a buzzword nowadays. But like, since I can remember, I mean, I've struggled with everything under the sun. Like, I have, ADHD, depression, this, that, and the other. Like, I grew up, struggling to just find out who I am. And that's part of the reason why I do what I do. And I've always wanted to like show kids that like, kind of going back to like the beginning, is like, yeah, like, I have a cool job. But the thing is I used to be the weird kid in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to be I used to be like annoying, like, in whatever that is to whoever, or like, I don't know, when I grew up, like, I don't know what their perception of me was, but like that's like I felt that I was just kind of the odd one out, you know, and what I want to say is like that's okay. Like it is okay to be different. In fact, I think it's better to be different. And again, a little bit of a cliche, but it's the truth. Like I will stand on that till the day I die. Like I hate the kids who, and I shouldn't say I hate them,
Yeah.
but I hate the fact that people are like, I want to fit in. Nah, bro, you need to stand out. Like that's the real thing right there. And I mean, I see it with my younger cousins. Like they, like middle school, junior high is like the hardest time in your life. You're going through puberty. You're trying to figure out who and what you want to do, and going into high school, and you're like, man, I want to play baseball, basketball, or I want to do cheer or drill or golf or whatever it is, right? And it's like all of a sudden you kind of have at 13 years old, you have like this crazy um like identity crisis, right? Where it's like you're not sure like who you are because you're so like you went from being a child to like all of a sudden a teenager like that,
Yep.
like and so I just want to tell those kids that it's like it's okay to not be liked right now. In fact, I would invite you to not be liked because again, after high school, after college, like you'll go and as long as you're like authentic to who you are, you'll get to where you need to be. And like that's like another thing is where you're at right now is exactly where you need to be. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And like I don't know. That's like that's something that I think about often is I try to stay present, but I get ahead of myself a lot. And I think that was something that like I struggled with as like, a young adult and even just as a kid, And so I just I take that like very seriously and that is something that I will forever like tell people and to just be present. It's okay to like be different
Yeah.
because ultimately if you're just you, you'll get to be able to work at thrift. You'll get to meet Post Malone
Yeah.
or you'll get to go to Jordan Clarkson's house and hang out with his mom for 6 hours. Like it's just that's the stuff that like if that's who you are, you'll get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of maybe of an answer. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that was an amazing answer. First of all,
Thank you.
I love that. Like I was someone who definitely was very weird and didn't fit in,
Hmm.
and I completely agree that, most younger people, they're figuring themselves out.
For
Like
sure.
I probably didn't have really an idea of who I was until I was like 22 or 23.
I mean, you're probably still figuring it out.
Yeah, no, I'm still figuring out myself in a lot of ways,
Same.
but dude, honestly, what you said is like I hope you don't fit in, or like I would hate to. I remember I did football when I was in
Mhm.
middle school, literally just because that's what all the cool kids did.
Correct.
And I was like for something. I was so short. I was a toothpick.
Right.
There were kids that are already 6 feet tall. I did not
Right.
belong out on that
Right.
football field,
Yeah, you're like
but I wanted it so bad because I wanted to fit in with people.
right.
And when I didn't end up working out in football, I did cross country.
Great.
And in middle school, I'm not gonna say it like, oh, I was a cross country star, but like I placed top 10 in every single race. So it's like when I stopped
Sure.
trying to be what I felt other people wanted me to be and I started playing into my own strengths and
Mhm.
being that weird running kid who,
Right.
his entire personality is I like to run for a long amount of time.
Right.
Everyone thought I was weird. I didn't
Right.
fit in, but the friendships that I did find because of that, the people that I did meet, they were so much better.
It is
Yeah. It was
best thing that you could do for yourself.
absolutely, it was monumental. And so like for like my future kids, like, if they wanna do, like, the popular things and if they fit in, like, I'm gonna support them no matter but I almost
Absolutely.
hope, and I'm like, if they're anything like me,
Right.
I hope that you don't fit perfectly, and I
Right.
hope that you're weird. I hope that you have
Absolutely.
that outside life experience and just choose to be yourself.
Right.
I think that is such a huge, huge thing
Mhm.
for just finding out who you are is being yourself. I feel like when you're in middle school, example from, like, what we most people are just following along what their friends do.
Absolutely.
I think they have no idea who they are, and so they're just following along.
Which is completely normal
Yeah,
for sure,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Like I said, at 22, 23 is when I started to figure out who
Right.
I
Yeah.
was. So I don't expect anybody in middle school to. There's that few unique kid that's like, yeah, I know who I am
Right.
already, and
The
everyone just follows them.
the freak athlete who's
Yep.
6'4" at 14 years old, 250 pounds, already has offers from Oregon,
Yep.
know?
Yep.
What
There's always one of those,
right.
but
Which
I
good
think,
for them,
yeah,
but yeah, that wasn't me, so
it wasn't me either, let me
yeah.
tell you. But no, I'm such a big believer that. And as far as like mental health goes too, like I feel like those that at that time also struggle with mental health, like it definitely can feel like a little ostracizing.
Mhm.
Like I know with my mental health journey, I I look back on like a lot of the things that I did and I understand it now.
Right.
I'm like, okay, because of my knowledge that I now have about myself and who I am,
Mhm.
I understand why I did this. I understand why I leaned in this direction. I understand why I gravitated towards these kind of relationships and people. And, when you're in middle school, when you're in high school, when you're kind of like in that young adult age range, I feel like a lot of people don't kind of try to understand themselves. And I didn't for a long time. And I feel like that's why I struggled a lot with like friendships and with finding my place and who I was,
Sure.
is because I didn't really look in the mirror and say, okay, who am I?
Mhm.
It was always, what's the next thing? What's
Right.
the next relationship? What's the next person?
Right. No, yeah, like, I completely agree. It's, yeah. I just remember I mean, I played football, and again, same kinda idea, except this was my senior year of high school. But dude, I like this is something that I also will talk about. Um, I did play football because yeah, it is like the cool thing to do. But leading up to that, this is what nobody else saw, right? So my freshman, sophomore year of high school, dude, like I always wanted to play football. My parents would never let me.
Hmm.
But I played basketball and I played baseball. And my freshman and sophomore year, I tore my MCL and my ACL on my right knee as a freshman in high school, and then my sophomore year did the same thing to my left one. So those two years, dude, again, right out of middle school, right into high school, I imagine my dismay.
Yeah.
Like this is like I loved baseball, and here's the thing: I'm not gonna like just sit here and talk my shiz, but like I felt like I was good, and like to be frank, like I was. But I missed 2 years of, like, development when those other kids were, like, not
Mm.
missing those, and it set me back so far, and it sucked. But the thing is, okay, after, going into my junior year, I was, like, doing, like, therapy and, like, physical therapy and just trying to get back to where I could be able to play again,
Hmm.
still being kinda behind the 8 ball without those 2 years of development. But, um, finally, my senior year, I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I'm playing football." And she goes and I said, "Mom, I'm playing football." And she goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Okay." And, so I got in the football, like, like, pre like, off-season stuff,
Yeah.
like, all the workouts and all that stuff, and I actually, like, was, trying to get stronger and healthier, and which I did. I took that stuff pretty seriously, and so finally, like this is the worst thing ever. Finally, summer rolls around and we were like summer camp, and dude, we were like playing like a scrimmage, and it was like they call it Hell Week, right? Playing a scrimmage against Maple Mountain and then this team from Idaho. I can't remember who they were. Um, anyways, dude, I was out there. I played defensive end and defensive line, like just maybe a tackle every once in a while, but it was like my fifth drive out there. And dude, I was getting freaking just thrown around like a rag doll. Like these kids on Maple Mountain, one of them was like 6'4", a Division 1, recruit. I'm getting like just pancaked every other play. I mean, sometimes I would, give him a nice little like move and he would still catch up to me, but I would not get thrown on the ground, which is great. But then there was one time and it was like my fifth drive. And I was tired. It was like also 104 degrees that day. So I was just tired, and I came up off the ball, and this kid, he had leverage, but he was above me, and he just and like hurt my knee again.
Oh,
Senior year. Now, this one wasn't near as bad, but I just like sprained it. And dude, I just remember laying on the ground in just sheer defeat. Like just so much sadness. And the athletic trainer comes running out and he's like, "Ship, you good, bro?" I said, "No." He's like, "You need help?" And I said, "Yeah." And I just remember like, hobbling off the field. Like I was walking, but I grabbed my helmet and I just threw it as hard as I can at the fence. I was just so upset. Keep in mind, this was 4 years of just like torment, of like these things that like I tried so hard, and like it kind of makes me emotional now, like which it's stupid to like look back at like high school, but like this was such a pivotal time in my life. And I just remember like just bawling my eyes out to my mom after. And I said, "Mom, like I'm not quitting. Like I've come this far, and it's stupid because it is summer. It's not even before like the season hasn't even started yet." And I just like remember sitting out on my porch with my mom. I'm not quitting. She's like, I think you should be done. And I'm like, I'm not. And I I like did some rehab and tried to get out there, got a knee brace, this, that, and the other, and I actually never even touched the field after that. But I mean, I will say the lessons that I learned, um, just by one being around the camaraderie of something bigger than me, um, taught me like way more than like sitting at home, right? Obviously, and it just I also remember I went to Walmart and I was wearing my Spanish Fork football um like hoodie, and this special needs guy, he came up to me and he's like, "You play for Spanish Fork?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I do." He's like, "Can I have your autograph?" Dude, at that time, mind you, this was like at that time it was probably midway through the season, and we were actually like playing pretty well. And he comes like he said that to me, and dude, I was like, at that point, I knew it was all worth it because again, it was bigger than me. Like it wasn't about me anymore because I did all the work to be able to have that like that moment. And so from that day forward, I was just like, yeah, like I'm gonna put everything aside because at the end of the day, if I work hard and I do my best, I will get to where I need to be. And I mean, I'm a firm believer that that's what got me here today. So it's again, all that stuff is bigger than myself, and I will forever have that. So yeah, no one
that's
can take that
amazing.
from me.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
do. I firmly believe that a lot of things that we go through and experience in our lives are for something so specific.
right.
Like there have been, like for example, my little football to cross country story. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just remember like similar to you, like I worked so hard. I had this experience where I think it was seventh grade is where I tried out for football.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know how the whole thing where it's like when tryouts happen, they put your number on, you go check a
Sure.
website, and if your
Mm-hmm.
number's on, you made the team.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
that happened. My number was on, and I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, I made the team. And then they refreshed it, like site crashed,
Mm-hmm.
refresh, my number's not on the screen anymore. So I had this experience where they eventually let me back on the team, and it happened to four other guys, and we all played the year out. But the whole year, I was called the mistake kid. The
Mm.
whole year, I was like, they were all telling me, you don't belong here.
Right.
This isn't where you're supposed to be. You need to
Right.
just, like, stop all this stuff. And let me tell you, dude, going into eighth grade, like, I have never worked so hard in my life
Right.
for something. Like, I was at every single optional workout. I was
Right.
outworking everybody in the gym. I might not have been lifting a lot, but let me tell you, I
Right.
was all heart. I literally
Right.
had
You're
this Under Armour shirt
doing it. Yeah.
that said all heart.
Right.
And that was my motto is I was
Sure.
all heart. I was
I love
putting
that.
in every single bit of work that I could. And then, eighth grade tryouts come around, and I obviously didn't make the team.
Mm-hmm.
There was mostly everyone was like 6 feet or 5'4" or taller, and I wasn't.
Right.
And that's when I pivoted to cross country. And dude, just the defeat that I felt,
Right.
I felt like this was, I mean, mind you, me being in middle school, I was like, I'm gonna play for BYU, I'm gonna
Right.
be a
This
collegiate
is
football
yeah,
player.
this
Like
is it right here.
this is my life.
Sure.
And so to kind of just be like absolutely shattered with that.
Right.
My first ever cross country race, I went and I won it.
Right.
The coach had no idea who I was. Nobody on the team had any idea who I was. And to this day, it is one of the greatest memories I'll ever have
Oh, for
because
sure.
I had no idea that I won the race.
Right.
I just remember everyone losing their minds when I came across the finish line. The coach was like, "Who is that? Who's this kid?"
Yeah,
Like all this
it's like
crazy. And it was like,
best thing ever, bro.
it was one of the greatest memories I'll have, and I'll cherish that for the rest of my life. But it wouldn't have meant anything if I think I just started with cross country and I didn't have
Right.
that,
That
like,
failure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just like with your story, I feel like sometimes we go through things to be kind of like humbled and be brought low, but then we have an experience where like, that's why.
Mhm.
That's why this all happened.
Yeah.
Because I I cherish that moment still to this day. Like,
That
top
is
5 memories of all
for
time
sure.
for me.
And even if it's something that maybe I don't know like how often you think about that stuff, but like to me, that carries into like who I am today. And yeah, like I will forever like that's like been the biggest blessing is the failure.
Yep.
So
I think failure does teach us so much. I think, like a lot of our experience, especially with failure, it makes or it breaks someone.
for sure.
I feel like you really get to see who someone is when they fail.
Hmm.
If they just fail once and they immediately give up, or if they, fail multiple times or have multiple setbacks, but they still keep at it, I think you get to see who someone really is
Yeah.
through that. And I think that, real character
Yeah.
for
Yeah, no,
sure.
seriously.
And it really does apply to your life because, I feel like I've kind of been like, I feel like that mindset in a lot of ways hasn't left me, the
Hmm.
mistake kid. You're not supposed to be here. You
Hmm.
should be doing something else. I feel like, honestly, I've been struggling a lot with that lately, with just even the podcast.
Right.
I feel like there's so many people that run successful podcasts out there that I'm kind of just like, what am I doing here? Do I
Right.
even belong? Is this
Right.
even my place? But, I'm still going to work
Right.
just as much as I did when I was trying to make the football team in
Right.
eighth grade.
Yeah, dude. I like I feel that because it's like, man, it's hard to like go online, which I've been kind of trying to stay off of online, but it's like hard, and you'll see people like, oh, they have X amount of views, and you're like, dude, I don't even know I've as a whole, you've
Yeah.
gotten that,
I don't
like
think I've ever gotten that in my whole history.
right ever of social media.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, dude, it's but comparison is the thief of joy,
absolutely.
and I will forever be an advocate for just trying.
Mhm.
And with trying comes competitiveness. Like for me specifically, I'm the most competitive person you'll ever meet in your life. I won't be. In fact, I was talking to my brothers about this yesterday at dinner, and I won't be you know in your face, or if I make a mistake, I'm not gonna be throwing my golf club, whatever. But like I'm going to focus up. You know, I'm gonna put it away, and I'm gonna look at what I need to do,
Mhm.
and I will beat you. That's, and if I don't win, we're going again.
Yep.
And like that's kind of how I just like carry on in life. If I lose, then we're gonna do it again.
Yep.
So no giving up over here.
Absolutely. I think that is a huge thing right there. It's like even if I lose, I'm still gonna try again, and I think that's the real win.
Yeah.
I think the real win is not just completely giving up. I love that you're like, yeah, I just recalibrate. We're going again.
Yeah.
We're gonna run it
Yep.
until I figure it out.
Yeah.
It's the adversity. It's no matter what, I'm going to prevail. I feel like that's kind of like the mindset that I've had to have with this podcast is I don't care if this gets 5 views.
Right.
You know, I don't care if this got 5 million views. I would be ecstatic, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna show up.
Right.
I'm gonna do my best, and I know that this is something that I feel I want to do.
Mm.
And even if one of those 5 people goes, "Oh my gosh, like what you and Carson said, like it changed my life," that's
Yeah.
enough. And
Dude.
even if no one does, this moment right here, it's still enough for me. I'm super big on your best effort is always enough,
Right.
and you got to show up for yourself as well. Like I I'm not making. I've said this before on a different episode, but like I'm not making any money from this.
Right.
I literally have nothing to gain from this other than my desire to help other people,
Mhm.
to give other people a platform to share their stories, and to, just do this. Like
Yeah,
it's not this is a complete passion project.
for sure.
Th-
Yeah,
this isn't something I'm paid to
dude.
do by any means. I'm
Yeah,
doing it because I want to, and I
I
will.
I agree, man. And that's not to talk my shiz here again, but my podcast last year I got 8,000 like total streams
That's huge.
in 4 months. I made $8.75 on AdSense. And when that came through on my PayPal, I was more happy about that than my paycheck that came through the day before.
Frame it.
No, seriously. I was like, dude, this is the best thing ever.
Yep.
I don't know if you're like set up on like any of like the podcasting RSS networks, but dude, you should. Because then you can like have like ads play throughout your thing, especially
Okay.
on like Apple Music and or like
And then you make money through that.
yeah, so like
Okay.
you should do that first of all. And then but yeah, no dude, I had like 8,736 views or something like that, or streams. And that was like crazy to me. I was like, bro, like I put out maybe, I don't know, like 12 episodes or something like that.
Mhm.
And I was like, there's no way. And I like looked on my like things and I'm like, dang. Now, mind you, shout out Hadley Herzberg. I had her on my podcast. She's like a little influencer on the TikToks. And on her Instagram, she like reposted it. And yeah, I mean that one got probably like 7,000 of the 8,000. But yeah, I know like it's just that to me was just like cool, you know. Like I was just
Yeah.
like, dang, like someone actually listened to me.
Yeah.
Mind you, 8,000 people listen to me, which is
Crazy.
if you put that if
Yep.
you put that in
That's another thing.
perspective,
Yep.
is like, dude, even if it's 20 people, if you try to fit 20 people in this room, you're like, that's not happening.
Yep.
Imagine putting 8,000 people in this room,
Yep.
which is like,
Yeah. People are
it's
like, oh,
nuts.
if I don't have like a million views or something, I'm like, people don't understand. Like, I'm totally content. Like, I'll post this stuff on TikTok and I'll maybe get like 100 views.
Mhm.
I'm like, dude,
100
that's a
views.
100 people.
Yeah, that's
And
100
it's
people.
huge. I also had a kind of experience. There's this one guy who I said in a previous podcast episode, like, I don't get paid to do this. And he Venmoed me a penny and he's like, here's your first cent for your podcast. And I
Love it.
was like, dude,
It's the best thing ever.
I literally screenshotted it and I'm gonna print it out and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no,
put it on the wall somewhere. I'm gonna be like, hey,
in
this was
the
my
ground.
first cent
Yeah,
from the podcast, and
yeah,
it's just like moments like that, it makes it worth it.
right.
It makes it worth it. Like, like, hey, someone heard me and someone said, you know
Bro,
what? Let me
even
do
if it
this
is
for you.
something so small,
Like literally a penny. Like
penny, yeah,
anybody could Venmo me a penny.
yeah,
And it's just the fact that he did that, shout out Ben. Uh
it's the best.
he's a old roommate of mine. He's the goat. But
It's great.
dude, I love all this. Okay, so I think this kind of segues into the next question
Great.
pretty well, kind of what we've
Awesome.
been talking about. But have you ever had an experience that completely changed you and how you live your life?
Yeah, I've had plenty. Um, I think the first one that comes to mind is, um, I had a very rough couple months. Um, I mean, I think the one that comes mainly to mind is it was like actually like 2 years ago. Um, I got in a car accident. I almost died. Like genuinely almost died. And honestly, I was told by countless of the healthcare workers that they've seen a lot less and seen less people walk away. And yeah, and also for a solid 15 minutes of my life, I thought I was paralyzed from my neck down. Nuts.
Wow.
Bonkers. Crazy. I can kind of tell you the story, but honestly, if if the state of Utah is listening to this, it wasn't my fault. Um, anyways, or if anyone's listening, this wasn't my fault. Here's the thing. It technically was, but it was hard to,
Yeah.
get away from.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was on the freeway and we were going like 80 miles an hour, and then it kind of slowed down to like 60, and I was in like the very not like the express lane, but the one
The
right
one
there.
before it.
Mm-hmm. And then I got to this one, and then I got to, or no, I was here, and there was a big semi in front of me. So we were going like 65 probably at the time, and um, I probably was a little too close to him. Um, but that same day, there was actually like this caravan for a police officer that was killed in, I think in Orem or something like that that day or that the night before, and it's like there was like this big whole thing that was going on, and so there was like traffic for that, and I was behind the semi, and I go to get over again, and the lane that I got into was at a complete stop, and I didn't obviously realize that, and I had like that fast to like even recognize that we were stopped. So I get over. As soon as I get over, it was like over, you know. So I had no idea, and so honestly, it could have happened to anyone. But I mean, maybe if I was not so close or whatever it is, I could have maybe like changed it. But I smacked into the back of a Ford Bronco, going like 60 miles an hour, and my whole car just like basically just crunched, and my steering column and like my whole like dashboard like came falling on my legs, and I didn't break any bones in my legs, thankfully, and but I did fracture. I had 7 different fractures on 4 different ribs, and then a punctured lung and a really bad concussion. Um, but yeah, so after like it happened, my thankfully there was a bunch of police officers like
Right there.
on the roads, because like that whole thing was going on, and my car was on fire. So after like I hit into the car, I I remember like being so just like you know struggling to breathe because my lung was collapsing, so
Yeah.
I couldn't feel anything. Um, my car was on fire, so I started freaking out, but I couldn't move. I remember I was like sitting there. I don't know. I think it was just shock, but um, the police officer just like comes ripping up like right next to me, and he had to get the jaws of life because my door
Yeah.
was like smashed in. He couldn't open it. So he like takes that and rips my door off, and well, first of all, when he gets there, he puts the fire out. It was like it's a small fire. It wasn't like anything like crazy,
Hmm.
but like I mean, when I'm in that situation, I see a fire and I can't move. It's like,
Yeah.
uh-oh, like this is not good. And anyway, so he comes running up with like a fire extinguisher and puts it out, and you know tries to open the door, and um he's like feeling on my legs, and he's like, can you feel this? Can you feel this? He goes like all the way up. He's like up into here. I'm like, dude, I can't feel anything. And he goes, don't move. And I was like, oh. I didn't say that,
Yeah.
but I was like sitting there, and I'm in shock,
Yeah.
dude. It was like the scariest moment of my life. And I just remember sitting there, and then I'm like, I'm paralyzed, like I couldn't talk, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't do anything. I'm like, one, I thought I was gonna die, and two, I thought I was paralyzed. Thankfully, neither of those happened. But yeah, for like 15 minutes, um, I sat there, and he was just like basically picking my steering column up above, and he's like, "Can you move your legs?" And I'm like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm going like this, and he's like, "Okay, that's good." And I'm like, you know, at that time I was like, okay, maybe it's just shock, maybe
Hmm.
it's this, whatever. Maybe I broke my legs. I don't know, right? And I just I finally was just like able to move, which is like craziest thing. And he's like this was his eyes. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. And
Walk it off.
no, seriously, I literally got out of my car and I walked to the ambulance. And the EMS, they said that they've seen people do something very similar, and they've seen, not to get graphic, but they've seen like steering columns like just and
Yeah.
it's like that was like such a scary thing to hear, because like I mean mine easily could have just done that, and like it was just traumatic. And yeah, man, I that will be something that will, like, forever change my life. And also around the same time was when my nephew was about to be born. That was in, like, May, and or he was born in June. Um, and then I think it was, like, probably, like, 2 weeks later, my grandpa actually had passed away at the same time. So, um, that was, like those, like, couple
Yeah.
months, dude, it was crazy because like, I almost died. It's so sad and crazy to laugh about, but that's just kinda how I
It's how you cope sometimes.
yeah, no, seriously. Um, but then, like, right after that, my grandpa had passed away from cancer, and but right after that, like, the most, like, the light of everything, like, my nephew comes in, and he just, like, changed everyone's life, and so since then, it's like, we almost lost, and we lost, and then we gained, like this huge thing. So that's something that will forever change my perspective. And um yeah, like, 'cause if I didn't live, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been able to meet him. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just yeah, that's like my thing, I guess, on that.
I'm kind of seeing like kind of like a story here in a way.
Mhm.
I feel like from what you've been saying and what we've been kind of talking about, I feel like there's a lot of loss that we feel and we have and we experience in our lives, and there's a lot of difficult times, challenges, but there's always something at the end of it. I feel like life is, obviously it's an overused analogy,
Mhm.
but it's like you're in the tunnel, it's dark, you kind of don't know where you're going.
Mhm.
There's a lot of hardships, but there's always the light at the end.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of a message that I'm kind of
Yeah,
getting
there's
from this.
always something good that comes out of the bad. And
Yep,
there's always a lesson to be learned.
absolutely. It doesn't matter like how long or how dark or how, lost you may feel in that tunnel. There's always that light at the end. There's always good. I think that's something that we can remind ourselves of, like no matter what challenge or difficulty you're going through in your life, no matter what rough experiences you may be having, like there's always going to be something where you go, you know what, like this was worth it all. Like I'm glad that I personally am of the belief that like everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
And so I'll look at things and I'll be like, you know what, like I know that I wouldn't be here and feel the way that I do if I hadn't experienced all of the hardship before it.
For sure.
Like I don't think I'd be able to have this podcast or say anything that I do if I didn't have the difficult, crazy life that I've had. Cause then it's like I have this need to help other people feel seen because I never was.
For sure. Yeah.
It's like things like that we kind of pick up from our own lives and learn. And I just love how like in everything you're saying, like whether you know it or not,
Right.
you're kind of saying the
Yeah.
message that we have difficult things we experience in this life. We have hard times, but
Those are the blessings.
exactly, it
Mhm.
can be. It's always it's how you view it too. I
Right.
think it's
Perspective.
like I can view all the hardships that I've had in my life, and I can say, "Woe is me, my life is terrible. I'll never be happy," or you can say, there's always something to learn.
Yeah.
There's always a way I can grow, and there's always gonna be something that you'll experience that you're like, "You know what? Like, this was worth it. I would go through that all again if it means having
For
this
sure.
moment."
Just take it on the chin and keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just, keep moving forward. I think what's the perseverance, I think is the word that I'm looking
Perseverance.
for.
Yep. Yep. That's the story of my life.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, well, I think, kind of the last question here.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
If you had one message to represent you in your life, what would it be?
Um, Spread love and live with no fear.
Okay.
That is shout out Puka Nakua. Um, so it's funny because I mean this again kind of goes back to my high school.
Mhm.
Puka back in the day. I mean, I played football, played football again against him, and he was always just like so good in really everything he did. And I remember like being such a big fan of his in high school, which is weird because he was like my peer.
Yeah.
And I mean, he went to Orem High School. I went to Spanish Fork. We were in the same region. But in his bio on his Instagram, I don't know if it is the same still. Um, it was spread love and live with no fear, and I stand by that because one, spreading love is the easiest way for like to be fulfilled in life.
Mhm.
And then also just living with no fear. I think that speaks for itself. And yeah, I think that and I am who I am. So um, I'm gonna be me no matter what. Um, I'm gonna be the best version of myself every single day. I'm gonna do my best, wake up in the morning and be better than I was yesterday. So, and that's just me. I am who I am. I'm not gonna change for anyone else. Um, my mom always taught me that because at the end of the day, authenticity is key. So
Absolutely.
yeah, like those are like probably like the two things that, in fact, I've always wanted to get those tatted on me at least somewhere. I
Yeah,
always wanted to kind of do like a little bracelet of like,
that'd be sick. Yeah,
yeah, like I am who I am and spread love and live in no fear.
yeah,
So yeah, those are like probably my two mantras of life. So
yeah. I
yeah,
feel like that's completely accurate. I feel to like all the things you've been saying, and as I've kind of gotten to know you through
right,
this, I feel like you do represent that. You know, I feel like in all the things you've told me, like you literally started with like my family and my mom are the most important things to
for
me.
sure.
I feel like what better place than to be, have that foundation and love in your family
Hmm.
and to kind of spread that and to live without fear, dude. I think that kind of again through all that you've been saying,
Yeah,
you're not letting the adversity hold you back. You're not letting these hard times stop you from moving forward.
for
Like
sure.
fear, I think in a lot of our lives, um, it prevents us from becoming not just who we want to be, but I think who we are meant to be.
Right.
And I think you're just yourself. And I think that is the best thing that you can be. If you can be anybody, be yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I had a girl on here last week, and I remember one time I told her, it's like, someday you're gonna be someone. She looks at me and she goes, I'm someone right now.
Yeah.
And I think that is just like that's one of those bars that'll stay with me through the rest of my life. It's like you are someone right now. And you wouldn't be that person if it weren't for all the experiences that shaped
Right.
you. And why would you want to be anyone else? Like keep being
Right.
keep and I think that kind of ties into the beginning as well, where we talked about how like when we're all younger, we're figuring out who we are. I
Yeah.
think one of the greatest pursuits in this life is to find out who you are.
Right.
To look in the mirror and say, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and to live in
Right.
the same way.
Mhm.
Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, like I stand for this, I am this,
Mhm.
but it might just be a reflection of what the people around them feel and believe. I
For
think,
sure.
like, one of the best things you can do for yourself in your life truly is to find yourself, to find who you are and what you stand for,
Mhm.
and to live accordingly.
Yeah.
I think you do that pretty well, man.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
I try. I really do. I kind of like what you just said, like little last little thing. I don't know if you guys or if you have ever like listened to Matthew McConaughey's Oscar winning speech.
I might have.
And basically in the thing he was just like someone came up to him and he was like who's your hero? He goes myself in 10 years. And that same person came up to him 10 years later and was like, "Well, who's your hero?" And he goes, "Myself in 10 years." And it's like you're constantly just chasing yourself and becoming the person you're supposed to be in 10 years. And like there's just no end to it, but also like you'll find fulfillment throughout that journey.
100%.
So I I've probably watched that like a million times. And if you haven't, I would definitely suggest you go watch
Probably
it.
going to watch it after this.
Yeah, no, seriously, it is one of my favorite videos, and I love Matthew McConaughey. I've read both his books. I read Green Lights probably 4 times. I've annotated it twice. It's like that stuff is just also like just awesome, and like finding people, maybe not like Matthew McConaughey, but someone who is good at telling who they are will help you understand yourself better as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about podcasting as well. So yeah, like the Zerky Show. Have you ever watched
I
him?
love the Zerky show.
That's my guy,
Yep.
and that is one of the people
I think
who
he's like the gold
it's
standard.
yeah, like he inspired me to do what I do, and yeah, like I will forever love that guy. I
Yeah.
always wanted to meet him. One of my friends, James So, he the $1 mystery gift guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He's met him before, and I was like, bro, you need to get me in contact with
Yeah.
him. He's like, he apparently he's like friends with him, so
Yo,
I'm like,
that'd be
maybe
so
that would be
sick.
sick.
Ayo, Wednesday waffle
Yeah,
with
that's what I'm
the
saying.
Zerky show,
Zerky
dude.
show.
That
That'd be
would be
lit.
so awesome.
That'd be so sick. That would be again one of my bigger accomplishments if that ever happened. But
Dude, you could
we'll
totally.
we'll see what we got to do, right?
You got it.
Yeah, one of these
Manifest
days
it.
for sure. Yeah.
One thing that I want to say real quick, because it's just I haven't seen that the Matthew McConaughey
Hmm.
was the speech.
Yeah, I was like after he won, I think it was the Oscars.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I love that because, if I think back like 10 years ago, if someone were to go back 10 years and
Mhm,
show 15-year-old me
mhm,
everything that I am today, everything that I've accomplished, everything that I've struggled with, like, would I be my own hero? Or would
right,
would I be someone that I would look up to? And I think, like, I can say yes,
yeah,
because, like, 15-year-old me was such a mess.
right,
And I think that is, like, it's humbling in ways because if I go 10 years from now and I say, would 25-year-old me look up to me at 35 and say, man, like, that's who I want to be when I'm
right,
older. But if I were to say, the current path I'm on, where I would be when I'm 35, if I would look up and say, what happened?
right.
Or, maybe like the
It would be
opposite side of that, it's like,
devastating, right?
exactly. So
Yeah,
I think that's just an amazing mindset to have is
right,
like, are you living your life in a way so that 10 years from now, who you were 10 years before would be proud of you,
uh-huh,
would look up to you and
for
say,
sure,
that's my hero. That's who I want to be.
right.
I
Yeah,
think
no,
that's
that's
awesome.
it's definitely something that I think about quite often. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I encourage everyone to go watch it. Seriously.
Yeah.
So,
I'll link it in the comment section
yeah,
or in the bio, I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
of this post,
Description or
but
bio. Yeah,
something like that. I'm still figuring all that out.
yeah.
But
No worries.
dude, this was awesome.
Yeah, no,
I
it's great.
loved all of this. The thing I love that just makes me so like not like worked up, but like just
Right.
passionate about and like excited is I never come into these episodes with like this is what we're gonna
Yeah, like
talk about.
knowing what it
No
is.
theme, no subject. I just randomly write down questions, and I feel like we have like such a beautiful, coherent theme of like adversity, trials, of love, of knowing yourself, finding yourself, all of
Mhm.
these things. Like it's just awesome. I feel like Carson's great. I feel like he embodies a lot of the things that he says. And, you guys definitely need to check out his podcast. He has some awesome content on there where he kind of delves more into himself, his life, and, things that we might not have been able to talk to today. I feel like you
Right.
guys, if you want to get to know Carson more,
My
Wednesday Waffle.
my relationship failures, maybe.
Oh, that's a whole, we could
That's a
have
whole other
episodes.
that's a whole other conversation,
Yeah,
but
that's
hey,
another
that's okay.
episode. That's another episode in the
For sure,
future.
for sure.
But, this episode may be so over, but next week and every week after, we will be so very back. Thank you again, Carson,
Thank you.
for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'll see y'all next week.